lesson, we are going to talk about how to talk about your habits with words like always, never, sometimes, usually, etc. So this week's live lesson will be a very beginner-friendly lesson focused on adverbs of frequency. Adverbs of frequency are these words, for example. So in today's lesson, we are going to practice making positive statements, negative statements, and questions as well with these very basic grammar points. So I hope that everyone can at least refresh their mind about this grammar, and we can have a good time too. So as you join, if you are watching live, please make sure to hit the like button and of course share this video because it helps other people to find the lesson. All right, so I think that everything is rolling. I see YouTube is going, so good. So send a message, YouTube chat people. I will try to say hello to you. While we wait, a couple super quick announcements. First is about this banner at the bottom of the screen. It says, get up to 35% off. Our team has for you a summer sale. So if you are thinking about studying with our courses, our lessons, you can find a 35% off discount if you click the link in the YouTube description or if you click in Facebook. Facebook, check above the video or to the right of the video to get the link for that. If you click on that, you will find this page where you will find all the details about the 35% off summer discount. So if you scroll down on this page, you will see some more information. You will find some ideas, some information about the different tools you can find with EnglishClass101.com, and check out the differences between other services. So if you think you want to study with us, now is a great time to start. So please click the link below or above the video for further details. All right, that's announcement number 1. If you want to stick around for announcement number 2, please do. So announcement number 2 is, as always, if you have questions for me, please send them to me. Please send them to me for our weekly Q&A series called Ask Alicia. This is an old screenshot from it, but if you have a question about vocabulary words, about some interesting phrase or interesting word you heard in a movie or on a TV show, or if you have a grammar question, whatever, send it to me. I will definitely read your question if you send it to me on the official question submission page. So don't send it to me on YouTube, don't send it on Facebook or Instagram DMs or Twitter, or I don't even know where you send it. There are too many questions all over social media. So please send it to the official question submission page, which is EnglishClass101.com/ask-Alicia. There is a link for this in the YouTube description. So please send it to me there. I will definitely read your question and I will maybe answer yours. So please do that. I'm always looking for your questions. I love interesting questions too. Yeah? Okay, good. That's all for our announcements. It looks like everything is rolling. Yeah, I see YouTube is here, and it looks like Facebook is here. What's up, Facebook? Why can't I make you big, Facebook? What's going on? Okay, Facebook is here. Good. Hi, everybody. Let's see. Who's in the YouTube chat today? Conwell, hello. Japanizer, hello. Omid, hello. Matthew, hello. Iman, hello. Adolfo, hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to our weekly live stream. Facebook, what's up, Facebook? Where are you? Hello, Wolfie and Cesar and Damatore, I hope I said your name right. Hi. Tranquility Mary, hello. Balai, hello. Levaustin, oh my gosh, so many people. Okay, everybody is here. Everything is rolling. Let's take a look at today's lesson boards. Today, we are going to do a very basic grammar point. We're going to look at talking about your habits with adverbs of frequency. So part 1 will be positive statements, part 2 will be negative statements, part 3 will be questions. So we are going to review some very basic grammar points today, and we are going to use them to talk about your habits. So the idea with today's lesson is that you will be able to talk about your schedule, meaning the things you do regularly, every day, every week, every month, every year, and so on. So make sure to send your questions and your comments live in the chat. Also, if you haven't, I'm going to do now. Please make sure to like and share the video. Oh my gosh, did Facebook update their things? Okay, share. Facebook updated their buttons. I haven't been on Facebook. Okay, share the video. Okay, good, done. All right, let's get into this week's lesson content. Okay, let's start with positive statements. So, how do we create positive statements with adverbs of frequency? Let's get started. First, let's talk about this phrase right here, adverbs of frequency. What's adverbs of frequency? What does that mean? So adverbs of frequency tell us how often we do something. So when we ask the question, how often do you do blah, 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 we answer usually with an adverb of frequency. For example, these are some adverbs of frequency. So to refresh you, I have this scale here from 0% to 100%. Here in the middle is 50, yeah? So we use adverbs depending on the frequency, depending on how often we do something, yeah? So for example, at 0%, we have never, right? Something we never do is something we do 0% of the time, yeah? On the other hand, at 100%, we have always, right? So always, something we do 100% of the time, like every morning, every day, every year, yeah? So always and never are the 0 and 100% points, okay? So we have many adverbs of frequency here in the middle then, yeah? So let's start up here. So first is usually. This is like maybe 75, 80% or so, right? Usually, okay? Below that is often, so maybe 60, 70% or so. In the middle, about 50%, we have sometimes and occasionally. Sometimes and occasionally. What is the difference? Occasionally sounds more polite, yeah? So we use occasionally more often in business situations, in politer, formal situations. In everyday speech, however, we use sometimes when we're talking to our friends, our family members, and so on. Okay, and then on the other hand, on the other side, below 50 here, we have these guys, right? So up here, rarely, and seldom. Rarely and seldom. Seldom sounds a little old-fashioned. So these rarely and seldom are like maybe 20%, 25% on our scale. So we don't use seldom a lot today. It sounds a little old-fashioned, a little polite, I suppose, but just it's more old-fashioned. We use rarely more today. Sometimes, maybe you'll see seldom used. But today we tend to use rarely more. Then last one on this scale, hardly ever. Hardly ever. So this is very close to never, like maybe 10% or so, okay? So these are a few examples of adverbs of frequency. There are some other ones, but today I want to focus on these very basic ones. All right, so how do we use these words to create a positive statement? Let's take a look. So here is our practice pattern for part 1 today, yeah? We have subject, so I or you or he or she, yeah? Subject plus our adverb of frequency. We choose one of these words. And then we have a verb. So here I have verb today. Today I'm going to focus on present tense, simple present tense statements. But we can use these in, for example, past tense. Today we're going to practice using this in simple present tense. Yeah? Okay, so let's take a look at some examples. You can send me your examples in the chats. I will try to check yours live. So let's take a look. First one, I always brush my teeth. Maybe I always brush my teeth in the morning. So let's break this sentence down, the grammar here. First is my subject, I, yeah? So subject I, adverb of frequency, always, yeah? So 100%, yeah? I always, and then my verb is brush. So verb or your verb phrase. I always brush my teeth, right? I hope, okay? So I always brush my teeth in the morning, okay? All right. Let's see. Kim on Facebook says, what is hardly? Hardly ever. I have these two. This is a little long. Hardly ever is the expression here. Hardly ever. I hardly ever blah, blah, blah. Yeah? So this is 2 words. The space is just a little limited. Okay? So here's our first one. I always brush my teeth. Very basic sentence, right? Okay, next one. She sometimes eats meat. She sometimes eats meat. Okay, important point here. First, okay, so our subject, we have she, yeah? Adverb of frequency, sometimes, right here, 50%. And then maybe you can see this is eats, right? So this eats is our verb, but notice we have to match our verb to our subject here. This is a simple present tense sentence, yeah? She eats meat, right? So this verb, eats, needs to match our subject here. So not she eat meat, but she eats meat. Don't forget this little S here at the end, yeah? Okay? All right. Oh, good. Some examples are coming in. Sal says, I always watching your live stream. So today we're practicing simple present tense, yeah? So I always watch your live stream. I always watch your live stream, yeah? Make sure to use a simple present tense grammar point there. Okay, other examples are coming. Dilshad says, I often get up at 6 a.m. Nice one. Good. Other ones, let's see. Lloyd says, I rarely brush my teeth. Are you okay, Lloyd? Please brush your teeth, Lloyd. Okay, others. Let's see. Noelle is long. Examples with hardly ever. Hardly ever. Okay, we can make it any of these. Like, she hardly ever eats meat, for example. Or I hardly ever brush my teeth, right? So that's how we can use hardly ever. So if you want to use hardly ever, just replace one of these and use hardly ever instead. You can create a sentence in this way. Okay? All right, some other ones. Let's see. Facebook, where are you guys? Facebook? I see a couple people saying hello. YouTube is doing well on the comments today. Aureliano says, I never eat meat. Nice one. Okay. Let's see. Other ones. All right, let's continue on to the next example then. Here's one with they. So they often go to the movies. They often go to the movies. Okay, so again, subject, they. Adverb of frequency, often. Often is maybe here, like 70% or 75%, yeah? They often go. Again, here's my verb. It matches my subject. They go to the movies, yeah? So this makes a simple present tense sentence, yeah? So this is kind of a way you can use this trick to test, to make sure your sentence is correct. The grammar, yeah? Just remove the adverb of frequency and see if the sentence is correct, yeah? So they go to the movies. This is correct, right? She eats meat. This is correct. Or I brush my teeth. This is correct. So you can test if you have the correct verb form here by removing your adverb of frequency, yeah? Okay. All right, another point I wanted to mention, this often. So I said they often go to the movies. Sometimes people say often. They make the T really strong. They often go to the movies. You don't have to do that. So it's just a choice sometimes people make. I often go to the movies. Usually we say often. So the T, we don't say the T, often. I often go to the movies. Okay? All right, next one. Here's a never one. So 0% of the time, we never drink alcohol. We never drink alcohol. Okay? So again, we have subject, adverb of frequency, verb. So we never drink alcohol. 0%. All right. Last one. He occasionally travels. He occasionally travels. So subject, adverb of frequency, a polite one. Yeah. Occasionally is here, right here. Occasionally. So he occasionally travels. Again, we can check our verb form by removing this part right here. He travels. Yeah. Simple sentence. But don't forget this S at the end. Sometimes I see learners forget that little S. Okay, others. Let's see. I'm looking for your examples. I study always every day in my house, says Edgar. Okay, I would say you don't need to maybe put both always and every day, but I don't know. I guess you could say I always study in my house, right? Or I study every day in my house. Putting always and every day together, it sounds a little like you're saying the same thing two times. So in me, I would choose, like, I study every day in my house, or I always study in my house. Just make sure you put your adverb of frequency before your verb, yeah? I always study in my house. Then it's good. All right, others, let's see, other questions. Okay, these look good. I never smoke cigars, says Juan. Good. Others, I never say often. Okay, the pronunciation. All right, good. Looks good for our positive sentences. Nice job, everybody. Okay, we'll take a super quick break and then we'll go to part 2. How to make negative. Some of you, I see you, are already creating negative sentences. We're going to practice this and talk about kind of a weird thing with negative grammar here. Okay, so really quick, a quick break if you missed it earlier. The team has a summer sale right now. It is up to 35% off. This banner at the bottom of the screen says get up to 35% off. If you click the link below the video if you're watching on YouTube, or above the video if you're watching on Facebook, you will find this page right here, this part with the green box, the green tick marks, the green checks, sorry. This shows you the differences between English Class 101 and some other services maybe you know about. So if you want to learn about the details, the tools, the resources that you can find with our plans and our courses, check this out. So you will find on this page a link up at the top to get the information and the details about the summer sale. So make sure to check this very soon. What's the date for this? Ends August 19th. Oh my gosh, that's this week. So please check this out if you have not already. You can study with our lessons and our courses, a bunch of my videos, and a bunch of other resources for your studies. So please check this out, and I hope that it is helpful for you. All right, let's continue on to part 2. Part 2, negative statements. Let's get into it. If you haven't, please, please, please make sure to hit the like button and share this video so other people can find today's lesson. If you are just joining live, today we're talking about how to talk about your habits with adverbs of frequency, okay? So, part 2. Now we're going to talk about negative statements. So how do we make negative sentences with adverbs of frequency? The same words, always, sometimes, never, or actually not never for this part, always or sometimes, often, these kinds of things. So the grammar is a little bit tricky because sometimes we put our negative in a different position. So let's cover this. First, let's just look at the basic parts we need to make a negative statement with an adverb of frequency, okay? So we have our subject, of course, subject like I, you, we, he, and so on. And we have our adverb of frequencies, sometimes, usually, often, right? Then we need our negative, right? We need a don't or a doesn't, right? To make the sentence negative. So I don't, you don't, we don't, or he doesn't, she doesn't, and so on. Yeah? So for today's lesson, we're covering simple present tense example sentences. So we're going to focus on these two to make our statement negative. Then we also have our verb. Okay? So these are the basic parts of our negative sentence. But a note, this note right here. Some adverbs take different positions. Some adverbs take different positions. What does that mean? So, depending on the adverb of frequency, sometimes the adverb is first, but sometimes the negative, sometimes don't or doesn't, comes first. So we're going to practice this, and I'll show you some examples so you can see which adverbs take this position and which adverbs swap this position. Okay? It's kind of strange. So let's take a look first at a first example. So here, let's take a look at this one. This one follows this pattern. So she sometimes doesn't eat meat. She sometimes doesn't eat meat. So here we have our negative sentence, yeah? She sometimes doesn't. So doesn't in this pattern comes after the adverb of frequency, yeah? So she sometimes doesn't eat meat, right? Note also this verb right here matches the negative sentence pattern. So she doesn't eat meat. The sentence is grammatically correct. Yeah? So you can check still if you remove this part. She sometimes doesn't eat meat. Okay? So this position sounds natural with this verb form. So you probably won't hear someone say she doesn't sometimes eat meat. That's not something we usually hear. Okay? She sometimes doesn't eat meat. Okay? So let's look at a different example sentence. Here's an example that uses the negative before the adverb of frequency. So this is one with always, always. So when you use the adverb of frequency always, you'll typically see it before the adverb. So I don't always brush my teeth. I don't always brush my teeth. Ooh, right? So I don't comes before the adverb. So this is an adverb of frequency that swaps the order a lot of the time. Yeah. So this, if you say I always don't brush my teeth, it sounds a little odd. We can probably understand, but we usually put this before the adverb of frequency. I don't always brush my teeth. Ooh. Okay, good. So this is one example of a swapped order. Okay, all right. Looking for your examples, some negative examples. Base 2 Ace says, I don't always study English. Nice example sentence. Okay. Dilshad, you don't always read my example. That is correct. I have to read many people's examples. Okay. Let's see. Tin Moya on Facebook says, I sometimes doesn't go to the market. Really, really close. I sometimes don't, right? I don't. Make sure your negative matches your subject, yeah? So I and don't go together. She doesn't, he doesn't, but I don't, yeah? So make that one change. I sometimes don't go to the market. And then it's good. Okay, other ones. Nice. Some people are writing, I don't always blah, blah, blah. So I don't always go to the movies. I don't always watch TV. Good. Nice examples. Okay, let's go to our next one. The next adverb of frequency is often, our negative, yeah? So they don't often go to the movies. They don't often go to the movies. This one also uses this pattern. They don't often go to the movies. So don't is before often, yeah? This is when you may sometimes hear people using it after the adverb. They often don't go to the movies. You might hear people using this position or the second position. You might hear that. So this one's a little bit flexible, but we can use it in this position too. They don't often go to the movies, okay? Good. Let's see, I'm looking for your examples. Let's continue. So here we have occasionally. I've used occasionally. So occasionally and sometimes, remember, they are about 50%. Yeah, 50% of the time. We use this doesn't after it again. So he doesn't occasionally sounds really, really strange. So we use the negative after the adverb, just like here, okay? He occasionally doesn't attend meetings. He occasionally doesn't attend meetings. Remember, occasionally sounds a little more formal, a little more polite than sometimes. Yep. Let's see. Someone has sent an adverb. Lygia, I hope I said your name right. I didn't never save money. Very, very close. Make sure when you use a negative statement, we can't use don't or doesn't with never. So in this list of examples, I don't have the adverb of frequency never, right? I don't never, or he doesn't never. We cannot use never in this kind of grammar pattern. So I never, blah, 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 or anything like that. We can't use this kind of negative with never, just never, yeah? So I never save money, something like that is perfect, okay? So when you want to use never, don't worry about this part, don't or doesn't. Okay, other examples. Nahora says, my sister doesn't often come to visit me. Nice example. Okay, good one. Nixon says, he don't always run in the park. Very close. He doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't. So watch out. Some people, maybe your practice point for today's lesson, This one needs to match this one. Yeah, your negative needs to match your subject. I don't, they don't, he doesn't, she doesn't. Yeah, so he doesn't always run in the park. Okay. On Facebook, Sai1 says, I don't always drink coffee. Nice. Okay. Cesar says, my friend doesn't usually get up early. Very nicely done. Okay. Other examples. Okay. All right. Let's continue to our last one. It's the last one. Okay. Oh, that went fast. So, last one. We often don't communicate every day. We often don't communicate every day. So, as I said before, often can be used with the negative in this position or in this position. Yeah? So, we might hear don't in this position or doesn't, and we might hear it before the adverb of frequency also. So here's one example. We often don't communicate every day. We often don't communicate every day. This is normal. Okay? So often is one that we use in both positions. So this is how we make negatives. Just as I said, remember, we don't use never with a negative like don't or doesn't. Okay? All right, that was great. Nicely done, everybody. Anna says, I occasionally don't have enough time for the lessons. Nice sentence, Anna. Great work. Others, Osama says, I often don't visit college. So make visit. I often don't visit. No S at the end there. I often don't visit college. Base to Ace says, we often don't see each other. Okay. Ella says, I occasionally don't go to the gym. Nice examples, everybody. Great. Looks good. Looks good. Well done. All right. Let's finish part 2. We're done with part 2. Time is, oh my gosh, time went so quickly as usual. So let's take another really super quick break, and then we'll finish up with part 3, questions. How do we make questions with this grammar? All right, if you missed it very quickly, there is this banner at the bottom of the screen. It says get up to 35% off. The team has a summer sale for this week. So if you want to get access to our study tools, our courses, our lessons, our pathways, so much stuff, flashcards, audio material, more of my videos, check this out. You will find the link from the video. You will find the link below the video if you're watching on YouTube, or above the video if you're watching this on Facebook. You can find the information, all the details on this page. And if you scroll down right here, you will find some more details about the differences between our service and other services you might know. And there's some comments here. If you want to read some people's comments, what they think, you can find all of that on this page. So check this out. There's so much here. You can scroll down. You find all the details. So if you want to study with us, now is a good time to start. So check this out at EnglishClass101.com. I hope the A is helpful for you. All right. Let's go to part 3, questions. Also, if you haven't, please make sure to hit the like button and share this video so other people can find the lesson, right? Making friends with the algorithm, yeah? Okay, let's go to the last part. Oh, my video just got dark. Come on, camera. Let's go to the last part. Questions. How do we make questions with this grammar point? So, there are 2 question forms I always try to practice in these live streams. Our information question, so who, what, where, when, why, and our yes-no question type. Do you, does he, does she? So let's review these 2. To make an information question, start this sentence pattern with a WH question. Who, what, where, when, why, how also. And then we follow with do or does to match the subject. Yeah, so do you, do I, do we, or does he, does she, does it. Make sure this matches the subject. Yeah. Next in the pattern is the adverb of frequency. Yeah, so our always, sometimes, usually. Yeah. When we make questions, though, we typically don't use never. Typically, we use usually or often or sometimes. Maybe always as well. So I'm going to talk about one more important pattern as our last question today. Then we end the pattern with a verb. Okay, so WH question, do or does, subject, adverb of frequency and our verb. So let's look at some examples of how to do this. So first, what do you usually eat for lunch? What do you usually eat for lunch? Here's my WH question. What do you? So my helping verb do and you match. Yeah? What do you usually, adverb of frequency, eat is my verb. What do you usually eat for lunch? Okay? I usually eat salad. I usually eat pasta, right? So you can use the positive statements we practiced in part 1 to answer this question. I usually eat salad. I usually eat pasta. Or just pasta or salad. One word answer is also okay. Totally fine to use. Okay, then, do you sometimes exercise? This is a yes or no question. Do you sometimes exercise? So we have no WH question. We just removed that part. Yeah? So we start the question here. Do you sometimes exercise? To make a yes or no question. Yes, I do. Or no, I don't. Yeah? Do you sometimes exercise? Yes, I do. I go jogging. Okay. I'm looking for your questions about today's lesson. Some of you are sending questions unrelated to today's lesson. Base to Ace says, what do you usually do in your free time? Nice one. I like it. I approve. Okay. Nixon says, what does she usually do on vacations? Okay. Juan says, where do you usually go on vacation? Okay. Good. Facebook. Hello, Facebook. Some of you are sending interesting questions. Cesar says, does Peter always take a bath? That's a very interesting question to ask, but it's grammatically correct. All right, good. Let's continue to the next one then. Does he always work late? Does he always work late? So again, we have our helping verb does, which matches our subject. Yeah, does he, right? Does he, and then our adverb of frequency. Does he always work? Right here is our verb. So, does he always work late? Yeah, he does. Most of the time, right? Yeah. Or no, he doesn't always work late. Yeah. So we can use our positive statements and our negative statements to reply to these questions. Okay? Next one. Do they often travel? Do they often travel? Okay? So I want to mention too, I didn't talk about it in part 2 much, but there are some adverbs of frequency we like to put at the end of sentences. This is a good example of it. So do they often travel? You might also hear, do they travel often as well? So some of these, there's a little flexibility in the position in the sentence. Do they travel often or do they often travel are both okay to use. Okay? Also, same thing with sometimes. Do you exercise sometimes? Yes. Sometimes you might hear that. Okay, I have to finish. I'm late. As always, I talk too much. So let's look at the last, very important question, actually. This one. I did not talk about this word in today's lesson, but do you ever verb? Do you ever verb? This means in your life experience, at any point in your schedule, is this something you do? So, do you cook versus do you ever cook is like saying at any point in time. We want to emphasize. So if you ask someone, oh, do you cook? And they say, yeah. And it sounds a little bit different than do you ever cook. It's like an emphasis thing. Like, this person doesn't cook at all? Do you ever cook anything at any time? Ever? Like, if you kind of can't believe, like, you never cook anything, you can use this question. Do you ever exercise? Do you ever eat healthy food? Like, you can use this kind of question for emphasis to mean at any point in your life, do you do this thing? So you can use that ever here. Do you ever do this? Okay. So I hope that that's a good one you can apply and listen for also. This is used a lot in media too, so you can pay attention to this one in TV shows and in movies. Okay? All right, let's see. Oh, Nafat1, I hope I said your name right, on Facebook. Nice question. Do they often go on a trip or travel? What is the difference? Good question. So do they often travel or do they often go on trips or take trips? They're both fine. They're both totally fine to use. There's not really a difference. Just make sure not to mix them up. Some of my students in the past, they would say something like, do you often trip? And that's grammatically incorrect. Well, it's correct, but it means something totally different. So do you often go on trips or do you often travel? Both are okay and they both mean the same thing. It's up to you. There's no difference there. So just keep in mind you can't mix the two. You can't say, do you often trip? That's a different thing. Something totally different. To trip means to make a mistake when walking. Like you're walking, oh no, you fall down. That's to trip. So totally different meaning, right? So make sure, don't mix up to travel and to trip. Betano, does she always get late to home? Is that correct? You don't need to send it 3 times. Does she always come home late? Does she always come home late? That is the correct way to ask about that. Does she always come home late or does she always get home late? We use those 2 questions, okay? All right, I have to finish. I'm late. So, oh my gosh, I'm very late. So let's finish there for today's lesson. Thank you, as always, for joining me. That was great. Good questions and good example sentences, everybody. Nicely done. I will show you today's lesson boards one more time if you want to take a screenshot. Ready, go. So here we have positive statements, negative statements, and questions. We've practiced using adverbs of frequency in today's lesson, and we looked at the different positions words can take in negative and question statements. So I hope that you picked up something new, and it was very helpful and fun. But I have to finish for today's lesson. I'll be back next week. As always, here is next week's lesson information. Next week, I'll be back at on August 24th at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is New York City time. If you don't know your local time, please use your Google skills, or you can set a notification on Facebook or on YouTube. Or if you follow me on Instagram, I always post a link and a topic reminder in my stories, so check that out. Next week, I'm going to talk about how to use should, the word should. I'm going to include use of should have and shouldn't have, the pattern we use to express regret, right? But this is a very important grammar point that we need to review from time to time. So you should come to practice should. Okay, so let's wrap it up there. Thank you to everybody for joining and sending your awesome questions and sending your great example sentences. Mauricio, one of our members, says, see you. It was a good review. Thanks, Mauricio, one of our members. Welcome. All right, I will say goodbye for this week. Don't forget, if you want to study with us, now is a great chance to get 35% off. So check the link below or above the video to get that deal, and I will see you next time. Don't forget to check that out and follow me on social media if you haven't already. Take care, have a good day, have a good week, have a nice weekend, and I will see you again soon.